What foods should you use to break your fast? Well, I've got Dr. Mindy Pelz in the kitchen today. Dr. Mindy Pelz is a world-renowned fasting expert. She has encouraged women to tap into the power of fasting for menopausal health, for women's health needs, for general inflammation and longevity benefits. And we are going to be talking through one of her wonderful recipes. It's an edamame protein-rich Buddha bowl, which has got loads of different elements that are going to support women's health. It's going to support protein needs. It's going to increase the diversity of your micros because we've got all those wonderful different elements. And I think this recipe that she's cooked for us in the doctor's kitchen is just testament to how food can be a wonderful pillar when it comes to improving one's health. Doctor's Kitchen. Recipes, health, lifestyle. Mindy, we've got you in the kitchen. Tell us what we're making.
So this is a kimchi edamame bowl.
Okay.
And when we actually break down these ingredients, you'll see why it's like a woman's dream. And it tastes amazing. I actually just made this for a friend last Saturday night, and we both were just geeking out on the taste. Quinoa is a great replacement for rice.
Okay.
Because it has so much protein in it.
Okay.
So we're going back to it's going to stabilize your blood sugar, and back at the conversation of like, we've got to help women get more protein. Where's it going to come from? So, you know, if you're struggling to get protein in, I would like get the rice out of your house and start using quinoa.
It's one of those great ingredients that kind of feels like a grain, but it's like a pseudo grain. I think it's more like a seed. I started using that a lot more, and I find it satiating.
Oh yeah.
Compared to things like rice.
That's another point, is that not only is it helping blood sugar, not only are you getting the extra protein, but because you don't have that huge spike that rice gives you, it turns off that hunger hormone. Again, like anything that keeps that blood sugar stable is going to make it so you're not hungry after you eat the meal. And this is key.
So it's just a cup, is it? And that goes into the middle?
And you just put it right in there.
Right in the middle. Okay, great. All right, that goes in. Tofu.
Okay, this was another really fun one that I was like, I want to change the myth around soy. About a year ago, I brought a hormone expert. Her name is Dr. Felice Gersh. Tell me about soy. And she's like, oh my gosh. Like, it's a phytoestrogen. It literally helps to upregulate the protective estrogen in your body. So I do not know where, we both kind of geeked out on this moment. I have no idea where it became this dangerous food for women that you're gonna get breast cancer. Maybe if it was not organic tofu, maybe if it wasn't organic soy, but we gotta bring these phytoestrogens back in, especially menopausal women. Your estrogen's going down. Nature provided you some great estrogen. Like, lean into it.
Yeah.
We might as well throw the edamame in with that.
Oh yeah, of course.
You've got two major helpful phytoestrogens, which is probably why I love this dish the most.
I'm a big fan of protein from tofu and tempeh and soybeans in general and edamame. These are some of my favorite ingredients, and I'm so glad you're talking about this because, particularly for a male audience as well, I think there is this sort of like, oh, you're a soy boy, it's going to give you breasts, it's going to, you know, make it, it's apparently that's the thing on social. Have you heard of that? Soy boy, they're called soy boys. Yeah, well, I'm a soy boy apparently.
You could be a soy boy too.
I think this sort of myth around estrogens came about because, you know, if you're taking exogenous estrogens or you're taking hormone replacement or you're taking specific estrogens in excess, you can understand why, you know, that led to the myth around, okay, that's going to increase my risk of breast cancer. But this is affecting different types of estrogen receptors in your body, particularly for menopausal women. That's going to have a protective effect on your bone, your cardiac health, your brain health as well.
We have estrogen receptor sites in every single organ system in our body. I even love this interesting idea that is being talked about right now, which is women have estrogen receptor sites in their joints. So when they're going through menopause, there's two things happening. You're losing that collagen that creates, you know, lubrication in that joint, but then you don't have the estrogen activation of those receptor sites. So things like frozen shoulder, hip replacement, chronic injuries like knee injuries, often is happening because of the loss of estrogen. Well, again, nature provided you some, add these back in. And then also know that they're protective. These are not the ones that are going to cause you breast cancer.
Yeah. And actually, if you, like, even though I refer to observational studies, which is the sort of lower quality of evidence, when you look at women who are eating more of these kind of products in their diet, and that naturally comes from Asian countries, for example, they do tend to have lower rates of breast cancer. And there's all the other healthy user issues like the fact that they probably drink less, they probably have less sort of excess energy, they have less sugars in their diet. But the inclusion of these phytoestrogens, I think, is telling how important and how protective they can be for one's health. Kimchi.
This is also really fun because now we're adding in the probiotic piece. So this also could be a break fast meal, just because we already chatted about that. But the kimchi, there's a couple things in here. We have the spice. So now we talked about the capsaicin and how it's going to raise metabolism. You can heat it up if you want more. I don't think people know enough is that different fermented vegetables create different bacterial profiles.
Okay.
The green onions in kimchi actually create a bacteria that is incredibly helpful for your immune system. And then you've got the heat in there, which is really helpful for your metabolism. So there was actually a study or a theory, it wasn't really a study, it was a hypothesis years ago, that when fast food went around the world, America takes full responsibility for the horrific food that infiltrated the world, every country started to see obesity go up except Korea. And what they found is in a McDonald's in Korea, I don't know if this is still the case, you got kimchi with your Happy Meal.
Oh wow! So it's potentially the kimchi that has a
Yeah. So if you don't like, when I eat it, I don't love it, but I just remind myself of that story.
So do you like kimchi, or you're not a big fan?
It's okay.
Oh,
I
love kimchi.
I learned to love it.
Yeah. So we're just going to add a little bit of kimchi to this, and so seaweed.
Oh yeah. Okay. This is where again you're going to start to see that these all work so perfectly. So with this one, the way the Chef Leslie built this as a recipe is you just cut them up in little
okay,
you can probably chop it. But seaweed is iodine. We're back at iodine, like iodine for thyroid health. I think iodine is one of those minerals that a lot of women are deficient in. Iodine receptor sites can also get blocked with things like heavy metals. So it was really about bringing the iodine back in, but it also has a bit of a salty flavor.
Yeah.
So it's nice on the taste profile of this. We just put it right in the middle.
Okay, what should we go for next? Red cabbage?
Red cabbage. If you look at what we're doing here, we're creating many different colors. Red cabbage or purple cabbage, however you call it, you now have a whole nother set of antioxidants than the other colors here. Very high in fiber. Fiber is so important for breaking hormones down. So when you look at a dish like this, there's fiber everywhere, but we wanted to add more fiber so that it would help with the breakdown of estrogen and support the estrobolome.
Love it. And we've talked about the estrobolome on the podcast, but maybe we could talk a little bit more about why that's so important.
Yeah, one of the things that I wrote in the book that I hope women get is that when we look at hormones, we have to look at it from 3 angles. You have to make a hormone, you have to break a hormone down, and then you have to be able to detox that hormone. We could use cabbage as an example. Because it's purple, think about how many purple vegetables you eat in a day. Probably not a lot. So it brings some nutrients that will help you make hormones that you might not be getting in other foods.
Yeah.
So with fiber, it's actually breaking that hormone down, so it's pacifying rule number 2. And then the third thing is it's supporting your gut bacteria so that you could actually detox the hormones. So one food added into a meal, and now you're supporting your hormones from every angle.
Great. So we're just going for diversity of colors here. That's the main thing you want to be thinking about. Avocado, one of your favorite foods.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing bad to say about the avocado.
Yeah.
I had a team member one time who worked in my clinic that was allergic to avocados, and I told her, I'm like, you may not want to ever touch me because I eat so many avocados. It could flare that up, and I'm so sad for you. Avocado fat, the good fat. So now if we go back to the break fast rules that we talked about on the podcast, it's going to help to stabilize your blood sugar so you're not hungry. So if this meal was your break fast meal, you got your protein, you got your nutrients, the protein to build muscle, you've got the fiber to support the microbiome, and then you've got the fat to stabilize blood sugar. So it follows all 3 of those.
We've got our bowl, we want to do a dressing. I'm going to show you how I peel my ginger. I just use just a teaspoon, and I just peel it like that.
I love that.
And you can use the skins if you've got like organic ginger, because a lot of those phytonutrients are concentrated in the skins. But if you don't like that sort of fibrous taste, a spoon like this and just peel it off.
Again, we're back at ginger being so helpful to the microbes in the gut. I understand people may not like that, but it's an amazing flavor profile, and then it helps with digestion. And then it's a bitter food, so it helps with liver.
Yeah, they did some head-to-head studies with ondansetron, granisetron, which are drugs that we use for nausea in chemo patients. It was equivocal in some of these studies, and you know, small studies, not many people, but still, like, it does show just how impactful a herb or a spice can be, right?
I do think it's interesting somewhere along history that we started like discrediting the healing power of food, and we're like, oh wait, if it's like really sophisticated and I didn't know how it was made, it has a bunch of fancy terms in it, and you put it in a bottle with a pill, that must be more healthy for me than actual food itself.
Sometimes you want to be very, very targeted with how you use medication. We want to sort of encourage people to have foundational health.
Right.
We need to think about food as well.
That's
like,
right.
You know, nature's medicine, like you said.
Okay, so lime, just another mineral dense food. Now I will tell you, when I made this last week, I didn't have any lime, and so I actually took grapefruit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was really good with grapefruit.
That's great.
And grapefruit's really good for estrogen production.
Okay, what else goes in here? Is it coconut aminos?
Yep.
Yeah. How much am I putting in of this?
Maybe it's like a teaspoon.
Okay.
And
cool.
again, now that's gonna have a salty taste, so it depends on salt-loving people. You know, like what do you want to salt it with?
Yeah.
The coconut aminos is amazing because it has aminos in it. But if we go back to this list that's in the book called the Key 24. There are the 24 nutrients you need to make a hormone. About 7 of those are aminos. If you're plant-based, you're gonna have to take a variety of protein-rich foods, but then we can backfill in with some coconut aminos.
Gotcha. Okay, great. So got the coconut aminos, and we're gonna use some good quality extra virgin olive oil, which I'm sure is like one of your favorite ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to not like olive oil, except if it's rancid or you heat it up.
Yeah.
But in this, anytime I can use it in a raw version like this,
Okay.
So what I did when I made this is I just put it in like the middle here, especially the goodies, like make sure that you're getting it. And I wanted it mostly over, and then you can drizzle it over the other stuff. The cabbage is another really good one. And if you don't want to use this pan, you can just
you can just pour it.
Pour it like that. So this is the kimchi edamame bowl, and we sectioned everything out: hormone feasting foods, which are a little higher carb, and ketobiotic, and this one falls under ketobiotic.
Amazing.
So
amazing. Let's try it.
I like I like the texture difference too.
No.
I think that's really good.
Super simple, delicious.
Super simple.
Like a diversity bowl.
Yeah, it's a diversity bowl.
Yeah.
It's like what?
So I started this series like doing diversity bowls last year, because it was before we had a kitchen. All I had was an air fryer, and I had to think of like recipes to make. So I'd basically like air fry some beans or something, or like tofu like that, and just put them all together, and like I just go, oh, it's a diversity bowl.